Chepstow to Montgomery is 88 miles. Montgomery to Prestatyn is 84 miles. This will give you lows like you've never had at any time in your life, but it will give you a joy, a satisfaction than you never found anywhere else. It will test your resilience, your courage, your tenacity, your energy. It will ask you to give when you've nothing left to give. It will give you happiness. It will give you joy. This is Offa's Dyke path. So good morning, here I am, it's 7:30, ready to start day 5. I had a rest yesterday and good heavens I needed it. So the route goes up that way, if you can see the acorn behind me, but at this point there's a choice and I can follow this path over here, which is actually a permissive path that is only open in summer and it goes nearer to Chirk Castle. So I'm going to go the alternative way. It also cuts off the corner, that way loops right around the woodland. This one cuts straight through and cuts off that corner and is closer to Chirk Castle. So that's the way I'm going to go today, and it's quite a tough day. It's 15 miles, which is 1 mile longer than it was on Wednesday. There's also 3,000 feet of height gain. So it's quite a tough day, another tough day, but I'm up for it, I'm ready to go, so let's do it. Right at the start of this path, there's some information boards about 1169, hostility between Henry II and the Princes of Wales, when Henry manoeuvred his army and moved into Wales to subdue the troublesome Welsh princes. His aim was the extermination of the Welsh, and many battles ensued, several in this area. And then for the Battle of the Gap of the Graves, Henry intended to travel 2 miles up this valley where they were ambushed at this point, Croghan. And as Henry and his army tried to force their way through the gap in Offa's Dyke, thousands of arrows rained down on them. The lightly armed Welsh foot soldiers attacked with bow, spear and sword and axe, driving King Henry's elite soldiers over their own dead and dying compatriots. Eventually the overwhelming numbers of Henry's army forced their way through the gap in the Offa's Dyke, suffering huge losses, so that in English the word Croghan became synonymous for desperate courage, later evolving into a word of reproach for what happened in these very fields here. So here I am, outside the magnificent Chirk Castle, slightly off route, but well worth the short uphill detour. It was built in 1310 and occupied by the Middleton family in 400 years. It's great they have these signboards on the path, isn't it? Where you can pick up information, and it just is absolutely fantastic. So I came slightly off the official route to join the permissive footpath, which brought me up here and then takes me on another path which brings me back onto the official route, and it cut a corner. And I want to say thank you, a big thank you to everyone who sponsored me. I'm 3/4 of the way to my target of £500 for WellChild, and I hope I can get there by the end of this walk. So if you'd like to donate, there's a Just Giving link in my bio on Instagram. Thank you so much to everyone who has done, and thank you so much if you're thinking of doing so in the next couple of days. These two have got themselves alongside of the fence from the rest of the sheep in the field with these guys, and they've been walking up and down trying to find a way through rather unsuccessfully. So here Offa's Dyke is down that way. I've just come from Chirk Castle along there, although the official path comes from that gate just by that cottage, and I took the route which is only available in summertime because the permissive path is closed by locked gates in winter, but in summer it's open, and that's what I use to go past Chirk Castle. I love seeing these dock leaves along the road. There's still plenty of them around, but somehow I feel they're not as plentiful in our countryside as they used to be. So down there is Prestatyn, the huge wood fibre factory at Chirk, and then the views across the Cheshire Plain to the Sandstone Ridge. After an uneventful walk down some quiet country lanes from Chirk Castle and across some fields, which are those fields there, I've arrived at the busy A5, which leads to Llandegla, which is behind me, and I only walk along it for this very short distance. Until I find the way down here. And so, after crossing another couple of fields and over the bridge, which is there, I'm dropping down to the Llandegla Canal, which is going to be my companion now for quite some distance until I cross the famous Silky aqueduct. The way along the towpath is quite level, quite easy walking, and every so often you come to a house who've made an effort to beautify their side of the canal with these tubs of flowers, and it really does look very nice. Here ahead is the village of Silty. Interesting storage places there when this was used more for goods than leisure. There's the Silty aqueduct leading across to the village of Trevor. That is the village of Newbridge and Kefenbeacon. A great place if you're a cat. Plenty to explore. And here we've got the footbridge, and right behind it the swing bridge, which takes traffic across the canal. But if you're using the canal on a narrow boat, you have to lift this up on the huge roller. Offa's Dyke path here descends to go under the Llandegla Canal, and it drops down and crosses the River Dee on the old bridge in the valley. But I'm staying on the canal, on the towpath, because the crossing is one of the most spectacular sights you'll ever see. 120 feet above the valley floor, and this narrow trough carries the water and the narrow boats across the River Dee. It was originally built to serve Ellesmere Port, taking goods from the village of Ellesmere in Cheshire, but they ran out of money just after they built this aqueduct, which is probably why, because this must have cost an awful lot of money. And as you can see, the views down to the valley floor really are most spectacular. And here we cross the actual River Dee itself. That's Prestatyn, where I've just been. And that's the Vale of Clwyd, ultimately leading to the town of Clwyd itself. Cool. Offa's Dyke path route crosses that bridge there, and I meet it on a little further along the canal after the. This is the popular Trevor Basin.
Do you want somebody to reverse it?
The canal goes under that bridge there to Llandegla, and Trevor Basin is ahead, where narrowboats can moor and enjoy some of the facilities here. You can see there's an awful lot of traffic. It's a real pinch point. You can only get one narrowboat at a time across the aqueduct, so traffic has to wait until the aqueduct's clear, or the boats have to wait until the aqueduct's clear before they can cross. And my way is down here. Trusty acorn hole. It's not the official path. I think it more or less is now because it's so spectacular. So my way is down here to come under the aqueduct by the great stone pier that holds the structure that supports the narrow trough that carries the canal. And there's the arches spanning the valley and the refurbished steps, which they've only just done recently if you wanted to walk down to the river. But I go, excuse me, under the aqueduct to the other side, which will eventually bring me up to the canal again. I could spend hours on this bridge watching the narrowboats manoeuvre to take this sharp right angle turn. If you come down from Llandegla, you come under this bridge and then you have to turn right to reach the aqueduct, and it's quite a tricky turning along narrow bays, and I have lots of entertainment watching them from here, and the canoes are out today as well. So having crossed the canal, I drop down here to join it again. The official path comes up there on the other side of the canal. There's a short distance along the towpath and crosses by a bridge which you can't quite see for those trees, and it then comes out into this field just here, and this is the point where I rejoin the official path as it comes over from the left. That's the bridge that carries it over the canal, and we're back on track. We're back on the official track anyway, across this field. So having crossed the field, I've dropped onto this little path here, which takes me under what used to be the Rwabon to Barmouth railway line. This tunnel I'm entering goes under the old railway line, and part of that line, the Llandegla to Corwin section, is now the Llandegla Heritage Railway, along which trains still run. But the Rwabon to Llandegla section and the Corwin to Barmouth sections are now abandoned, which is a great shame. If it hadn't been closed and you could still travel the whole length of the line to Barmouth, I would imagine in summer you will get quite a lot of tourist traffic, but sadly it's no more, and in my opinion that's a shame. Nice wildflowers again by the side of this path. So I've just passed that very tempting seat, and it is very tempting to stop for a while and have a cup of tea, but I know ahead of me is the climb, the ascent through Trevor Hall Woods to the panorama, and I'd really like to get that out of the way before I stop, so I'm carrying on. And that is the village of Garth. My way is along this lane until I come to the gate which leads me into Trevor Hall Woods. Here it is, the gate into Trevor Hall Woods. complete with milestone, or name plaque I suppose, Offa's Dyke Path, and the gate into the woods. And here the path begins its steep climb. Climb through the woods. The path levels out to skirt the edge of the woods before in a little while it dives back in. Nice horse there. Hello. Hello, what are you doing? Come and see me. Come and say hello. Hey, come on then. Good boy. Such a beautiful path now in through the conifers. Okay, it's very still today, very cool and fresh. Not a sound in this wood. I'm still walking through Trevor Hall Woods on these beautifully shaded pathways. Still a rising path to that gate at the top, and I think there's a little bit more climbing before I finally arrive at the top of the panorama. This is where I'll leave Trevor Hall Woods behind. Just come out of it there, and the gate takes me out onto the moorland at the top of the panorama. Having come up there, the path makes a horseshoe turn up to there and then makes another horseshoe turn to go up there. But I know, past this magnificent tree, there's a shortcut where you can scramble up the hill a short way and arrive at the same place. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, it's quite steep, but it's only up to there. So, having done that, I arrive at the top of the panorama, which is a fantastic view down into Llangollen. There's a seat here where I can have my first stop of the day and enjoy the view and a cup of tea. And today I have my trail mix, which I've had with me every day, but it's melted in my rucksack because it's been so hot. I've broken it up so it melted into a chocolatey, because they're chocolate coated Brazil nuts, and they melted into a chocolatey gooey mess. So I put them in the fridge and then broke them up and brought them with me today. I always thought that the Offa's Dyke Path went up there. Now that's part of the route of what's called the Llangollen Round, which is held every 4 years. It follows the same route along the Panorama Road that I've just followed, and then goes up there to the top of the Eggleby's Egg Cliffs and carries on up at the top of the escarpment. And I thought the Offa's Dyke Path did the same thing, but it doesn't. It actually carries on the Panorama Road. Anyway, it's a shame because it's a nicer route up there. The Llangollen Round is a path that takes you on the hills that circle Llangollen, and it's held every 4 years to raise money for a cancer charity, and I did it last year. It's great fun and hard work and very enjoyable. So anyway, yeah, Offa's Dyke Path continues on the easy walking, on this easy road walking stretch for a little way. Here I am on the Panorama Road by the screes of Eggleby's Egg Cliffs, and behind me Dinas Bran, the ruins of the old medieval castle built by the Welsh, who only occupied it for a very few years, 60, 70 years, something like that, before they left it and abandoned it and destroyed it, so the English couldn't have it. It dominates the Vale, but it's very exposed up there, and it has its own microclimate, and getting supplies up those steep slopes must have been a heck of a lot of work, and that's probably why they abandoned it, because it really wasn't worth it. But it's a very evocative place. It's worth the steep climb, although I'm not going to do it today. So ahead is Llandegla mountain. That is also part of the route of the Llangollen round. And Llandegla mountain is the entire ridge. It starts where that ridge disappears. There is the top of the Horseshoe Pass where the Ponderosa Cafe is, and the route of the Llangollen round goes right across the top of that ridge before it drops down the other side towards the valley of the River Dee. Still on the road, been climbing for some time now, with Dinas Brown behind me, and just plodding along. It's 1 foot after the other time. Just keep going, because in a sense, and I've been thinking about this as the mental approach to get me through, I don't exist. I never existed before I was born. I won't exist when I die, and I probably don't exist now. Now that's a way of looking at it, isn't it? So if I don't exist, then neither do these pains and aches, or maybe even aches and pains in my legs. In that case, what am I worried about? I've just got to keep going, haven't I? So 2 miles to Llangollen, which is that way. I've just come down there from the beautiful panorama, and I'm now going up here. This road skirts the Eglwyseg rocks and the limestone plateau, Robin Mountain, which is to my right, and comes around to the village of Minera, which is just above Wrexham. I won't be going that far. I continue along here until the road climbs out of this valley onto the peat moorland of Llandegla moors, and then the Offa's Dyke path crosses the moorland. Interestingly, the dike itself I've left well behind. It finished in the countryside just beyond Chirk Castle before I crossed the A5. In fact, I think it runs down through woodland to the A5 and stops there. Beyond that, there's nothing left of it, although it may well have continued. But the Offa's Dyke path itself continues along the route I'm following, and eventually I get to Prestatyn, which I'll do on Sunday. Approaching now the magnificent escarpment of Eglwyseg Cliffs. Just as I walk down this road. Such a majestic landscape. A long walk along the road across some stunning landscapes. The path finally leaves the road here and continues up this stony track. Normally there's a bubbling little stream running down here, but totally dried up this year. This is such an amazing place. Snowdonia? No. Lake District? No. North East Wales. This is such a stunning view, just amazing. I'm walking along this narrow track on the side of the scree slope. above that beautiful valley. So this is an amazing track in this wonderful scenery. The narrow stony track hugging the side of the scree slope above this beautiful deep valley. There's Llandegla mountain again. Still on this narrow stony path on the edge of the scree, heading towards World's End, which is in that fold in the rocks just over the next rise. World's End there's a farm, I think. There's a house, and that's it. And a dried up riverbed as well. Dried up this year, of course. Normally it's full of water. I suppose it's called World's End because you get to this place and you think it's like the end of the world. It's so isolated. Just the scree slopes, the only vegetation's down there where the stream usually runs, and there's the valley. So coming over here now, if this isn't World's End, it means I've got to traverse that slope and go around that corner there before I get to it. That wasn't World's End. And I am navigating this narrow path on the edge of the screes, on the scree slope. It's just following the contour. It does go up and down a bit as it goes over the edge of the slope here, and I think I'll stop at World's End. I didn't think it was as far as this. The path along the scree slopes is now given way to a path along bracken fern covered slopes, still skirting the edge of this escarpment above the valley. Radio mast there, or telephone mast, on top of the hill which is above the summit of the Horseshoe Pass. My way straight ahead, still looking for the drop down to World's End, which is definitely my lunch stop today. So at last I'm approaching the elusive World's End, because I know it is, because down there is the manor house that is called World's End. So it's been a really tough walk. I didn't think World's End was this far. The path has just clung doggedly to the hillside, at first scree, then fern and bracken, and now grassland and small shrubs and bushes and trees, and are coming down to World's End, which is right down there at the bottom, and there I'm going to rest. This has been punishing. It really has. More punishing than I expected. There's been a lot of ascent. There are so many little folds in the rocky escarpments where streams have forced away, or water's drained and gathered and eroded little folds, and you're up and down them, and each one I think is World's End, and I forget World's End is quite a significant valley between the escarpments, and at last I'm here. There we go. There's a ford which the road crosses just up there, and this is my lunch stop. So here I am with my lunch stop. I'm just about to pour my tea and get my sandwiches out, and this is World's End, no more than a bend in the road and a ford which is just over there, but the view is incredible. This ladies and gentlemen, isn't Scotland, it isn't the Lake District, it isn't even Snowdonia. This is North East Wales. Two path guides showing me the way, which is very kind of them. I've been following this narrow road since leaving Wales End. It's been rising up through the moorland. The reception committee waiting for me here, but they decided I was no interest, so off to go. So this is the point where I need to keep my wits about me, because I have to turn off this moorland road and cross the Llandegla moors to Llandegla forest in the distance. I remember this from the Llangollen round last year, because it took the same route up to this point and then across the moors, and this indeed is the point where I leave the road. Here's the milestone, Offa's Dyke path, and it says Llandegla 2.5 miles. And that's my finish point. Across there, so what I'm going to do is I'll have a little break and a water stop. That was a serious miscalculation on my part. I completely misjudged the angle, the direction from the road across Llandegla moors, and ended up going too far to my left, to the west, headed towards the communications mast above the Horseshoe Pass, when I should have angled more right. It is on a clear path. I don't know how I missed it, and what makes it even worse is I know the track. I did it last year on the Llangollen round. It's the same track across the moor, and there it is behind me. And instead I had to shortcut across all the heather there to reach this point, which is where I'm on the track again. I'm fortunate it's a dry year, because what I've just done may well have been impossible in a normal year. It's a peat bog, and you don't cross peat bogs normally without any trouble. You get your feet stuck, it's muddy, it's horrible, but this year's completely dry, no problem whatsoever. So I just followed the sheep tracks through the heather and eventually made it here. I reckon that mile from the road has taken me about 45 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, that means a 1.5 miles left. I'm just going to pull myself together and get that done. I can't get over how careless that was of me to lose my way like that, to miscalculate the direction. After all, it's a clear track and I walked right past it. That is tiredness, that is exhaustion, and that is what I'm feeling now. And to make an error when energy reserves are low is not a good idea. Anyway, I am back on the right track. It's pretty much all downhill, and it's not very far either. So, yeah, when you're tired, pay more attention to your direction. To Llandegla Forest. Now this is a place where you get all sorts of strange creatures at night amongst these tall trees. imagined characters in Lord of the Rings emerging in here. Descending now out of the trees. Those hills in the distance are where I go tomorrow, right across the top of that ridge. That's the Clwydian Range, and it's a fair bit of climbing there, up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm not looking forward to that. Table and chairs for the creatures of the forest, I think, and another on that high platform, tree table. That is a private garden. That's my destination. That's Llandegla. I'm just working out where across this field is the direction. It could be that way, but you would think it was that way. So I'm going to have to try and work this out. So the guidebook tells me the path follows the fence and goes under those power lines. So I've been following the fence all the way down the hill, and I've come to this, and it may be electrified, and there's no obvious way through. Even around here there's a fence, so I decided just to step over the fence there so I could continue the line of the path. This is another guess where the path goes field. So I'm just passing under the power lines, that's the guidebook, and it says there's a footbridge, but where in that fence hedge perimeter is the footbridge? I'm just heading to this little fence here to see if there's a way marker on it, because I think there is, and at least it will confirm my direction. So yeah, there is, and it's saying Offa's Dyke path up, actually up there. So I went wrong somewhere, didn't I? Because that means I should have come down here. So that's the direction on the other side. Let's have a look. Okay, so the direction is right, still following the fence. So yeah, I should have come down that way. I was the wrong side of the fence somehow. Yes, and there is, I think, a slight definition of a path. So that's day 5 finished. I've arrived just outside Llandegla Community Shop. I've just had a refreshing bottle of lemonade. 15 miles. It's 4:30, so that's 9 hours walking today. Fair amount of climbing and one disastrous miscalculation en route all contributed to that 9 hours. So but I've done it. I've no more energy left today, so I need a good rest tonight, because tomorrow is the toughest day of the lot. 17 miles, which is 2 more miles than today, and a gigantic 3,000 feet of ascent over the moles in the Clwydian Range. And I don't mean the little furry creatures, it's the Moels, which is the Welsh for hill, of the Clwydian Range, as I trek from here to Bodfari. But that's tomorrow, so I'm not going to think about it. Today is rest.